There's a face only a mother northern pike could love. Terry Hogger, how big is this northern?
This is a 41-inch 19-pounder.
Wow, that makes a Master Angler Award and a Trost Fishing Award. You're a double winner. You're our Master Angler of the Week. Where'd you catch it?
This was caught at Tawas Lake on a tip-up.
On a tip-up over here on Tawas Lake on the east side. There's some pike that we got here on the west side by Ludington Hamlin Lake. Weren't quite as big, but I got some stories to tell, too. Both Terry and I, Fred Trost, are going to tell some pike stories, so stay tuned. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors. Winter in the north is a time when most people stay indoors most of the time. You don't hear kids playing outside. You don't hear dogs barking, portable radios blaring, rock music, or Tigers games. In fact, you don't see or hear much, especially on lakes. In the summer, these lakes are full of hubbub and activity. Fishermen are rowing and motoring from one shore to another, from one weed bed to another, looking for that hot fishing hole. But not in winter. These same lakes are pretty quiet. A few ice fishing shanties line a drop-off, but there's no telling what's going on inside, if anything. Now that slick spot on the ice in between the shore and the shanties, that's part slush, part ice that formed when the weight of the snow pushed down on the ice and lake water came up through the holes bored by ice fishermen. Now under that first crust is nearly a foot of ice, so there's nothing to worry about. It's just a little slick, so you watch your footing as you walk over it. This shanty belongs to Mike Copenhaver, a charter captain, guide, and fanatic ice fisherman from Ludington. But what is shanty fishing all about? That looks pretty small in these little coops, maybe even cramped and uncomfortable. Oh, quite the contrary. Many shanties have all the luxuries of home. Now, one advantage to a shanty is that fishermen can lock up a few hard-to-carry but inexpensive items that make life a little easier on the ice. Now this rug behind the door is to keep the light out so you can see through the hole in the ice better when you're spearing for pike. Now you want it warm in the shanty too, so an LP gas bottle is hooked up on the outside for the gas heater. Now that that's done, we can fire up the furnace and stay warm in any weather. Now Mike goes in the shanty first and hands out all the things that we might need during the day, but we don't need inside while we're fishing, like a spud and a shovel. We might have to chip some ice or shovel some snow. We have a box with some gear in it and a few buckets for minnows, or to sit on outside if the action on the tip-ups is hot. Now the wooden trapdoor on the floor is for safety when you're getting in the shanty, plus it keeps the ice from forming over your spearing hole when you're not there overnight. Now in this hole is where you keep your bucket of sucker minnows for tip-up fishing. In an aerated bucket like this, they'll stay alive for weeks during the winter. Their metabolism is slow, they don't eat much, and they'll stay lively for a long time. Mike has the shanty prepared, and he told me to make myself at home. So the first thing I'm going to do inside is shed my winter coat and my down vest. Now, I'm going to be plenty warm in here, and I don't need all that extra bulk of clothing when I'm spearing a pike. Now, in order to get a big northern to come underneath the hole in the ice, you have to have something to attract their attention. Now, some people drop a live sucker minnow on a line a few feet below the ice and let that attract a hungry pike. But most people who spear use wooden decoys. Now, Mike Copenhaver carves fish decoys as a hobby. He has quite a collection in his shanty. He switches them when fishing is slow, picks different colors for different lighting conditions and different times of day. Now, here's a good one. So we'll clip it on the decoy line that goes through a hook in the ceiling above the hole. Now, this decoy is colorful. It can be seen underwater for a great distance. It's weighted and slightly curved. So when you give the line a twitch, the decoy moves around in a circle, attracts the attention of the pike. Now the object of all this is to spear a pike when it comes to investigate the decoy. So I want the spear handy where I can grab it at a moment's notice. I move it on my right side by my right hand. Now you notice that rope attached to the handle and tied to the chair inside the shanty? That's how you get your spear back, and hopefully the fish too. One last preparation is to light the heater, then we'll close the door and watch. Now it wasn't but 2 minutes after we got ready that our first pike came in, not a real big one, but it swam in to investigate.
See him swimming off. Doggone it. I wonder if I missed my chance. There it is. Okay. Oh, up and left. I'll get this one this time. You see him now? Yeah, he should come in slow, I hope. Can you see him now? Yeah, I can see him.
OJ and I are being very quiet. We don't know if this pike can hear us or not, but we don't want to scare it off. It's actually under the ice at an angle from me, not a good angle for spearing.
Doesn't look like he's hungry, does he? No, just curious. Can you see the spear? Yeah. I can't tell you how my heart is thumping.
This was really exciting. It's a lot like deer hunting with a buck coming into your blind. And as it turned out, this pike acted just like a big buck.
I wonder if I should take a poke. Doggone it all.
Off it goes, just before I decided to make my move. That's the kind of excitement that goes on in these ice fishing shanties. Lots of drama. But while you sit in a shanty, you are allowed to fish with 2 lines with hooks. Often these are tip-ups, which you bait with live minnows and set outside. You watch the tip-ups through little windows in the shanties. Now the minnow is given enough line to reach the top of the weed bed below where the pike are lurking. The reel on a tip-up is on the bottom and is actually put underneath the water. Now Mike Copenhaver makes his own tip-ups, but the design of tip-ups is basically the same. A cross piece to keep the tip-up from falling through the hole, some type of flag or ball on a spring that tips up when a fish swims off with the minnow. Now the trip lever is connected to the reel, so when the reel turns just a little bit, you can see the flag go up. With a series of tip-ups in place, it's a lot of fun to watch for the flags and run out when they pop. You never know what's going to be on the other end. You have no idea how big it's going to be, that's for sure. Bob Garner grabs the first flag, tightening the line on the pike before he sets the hook. There he goes. Then he hand lines the fish in. Now in Michigan, pike have to be 20 inches, so we're looking for one that's at least that long.
All right, not bad. That's a keeper.
Yeah. Just legal.
I'll be doggone.
Well, it's a keeper, all right, but before we could get the hook out of its mouth, we turned around and checked the other flags, and one popped up. Now, sometimes it happens this way in a flurry, so you move quickly. That's the fun of it.
Mine's going off this way. No action right now. Let's get over here. Oh, got a little bit of motion there.
You running?
He's there.
Any size to it? Looks
No,
easy.
No, there's some tension here. Now it's getting heavier. Hard to tell. He's got a lot of line out.
Does he?
Yeah. Look at the line we piled up here. Get ready to take him right behind the gills, especially to get him up here close. He's got a lot of line out.
You fight?
I feel him pull back. Coming in. Oh, now he's getting weary. Must be coming through some weeds. Here comes the leader, so we're getting close.
He's around over
Here
here.
comes.
Ooh.
Get him, Fred. Tiger.
That's not even a pike.
No, that's a tiger muskie.
I'll be darned.
That's one of the hybrids that they play.
The tiger muskie is a cross between a female northern pike and a male northern muskie. It grows fast, it grows big, and fights hard. A pike has the white bean-shaped spots on the side. Tiger muskies, well, they look like tiger stripes. Muskies have to be 30 inches. This one was 24, so it goes back. Now, later in the day, I'm in the shanty. It's getting dark, and the action picks up.
got him. I got him. Don't I? I missed. Holy cow.
Well, how about that? My first chance at a good-sized pike in Mike Copenhaver's shanty, and I muffed it. Now, in slow motion, watch him. He comes in, he grabs the decoy. I toss the spear, but instead of putting the spear in the water first, then pushing it, I toss it above the surface, which makes a commotion when it hits and changes the angle of my toss just enough so I miss. We'll take one last look at the tail before it disappears. It was even exciting, even though that big one got away. It's a lot like deer hunting, isn't it? I'll tell you, it's every bit as exciting waiting for those pike to come under the ice. Really exciting. I'm looking forward to doing that some more. Now, if you're going to go ice fishing this weekend, well, I don't know, last weekend's reports for Saginaw Bay was that it was dead. You saw on Hamlin Lake we got lots of pike. We got one, a 41-incher coming up that was caught in Tawas Lake. Tip-up town, USA, this weekend at Houghton Lake, this should be the kind of weather we've been hoping for year after year. It's going to be, fingers crossed, sunny, warm, beautiful, plenty of ice, hopefully plenty of fish. Now, one little tag on the pike spearing story. I did not go get skunked for my pike spearing. Look at this. I got a 24-inch pike just before dark. The light was fading, but that's it, a 24-incher, legal pike, not a Trost Fishing Award winner by any stretch, but a winner for me. But here's something that I thought was the strangest thing I've seen all winter. That little critter right there is something that pesters all of us in the outdoors in the summer, a mosquito. Why would you find that in the snow in the middle of the winter? But that was a footprint right there. It's along the edge of a footprint. I don't know if it's waiting for ice fishermen with their thin blood here in the winter or what, but definitely it was a mosquito, alive and kicking, one of the strangest things I've seen this winter. You ever seen anything like that, Terry?
Never.
A mosquito in the middle of the winter? Mosquitoes weren't too bad over in Tawas?
Didn't find a one.
Oh, well, I tell you, you found some pike that are bigger than I think any pike has been taken out of Hamlin Lake. There's a lot of pike there. But this Tawas Lake, I'd like to learn more about that. Tell me the battle story on this fish, though.
Well, this is what fishing is all about, Fred. I think I went out to check at the tip-up, and the line was out, and I started pulling him in. And when he got to the hole, I had to clean some weeds out and tapped him on the nose, and away he went, and I knew I had a big fish.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm afraid that if I had seen this fish, we probably would have lost it.
Is that right?
Right.
You mean you didn't know how big it was?
I didn't know how big it was.
Well, it was an 18-pounder. What were you using for bait?
We were using golden shiners,
Live.
live golden shiners on tip-ups.
The water pretty clear in Tawas Lake?
The water was not too bad, but it's awfully shallow.
How deep?
We were in about 4 feet of water.
Oh, that's Houghton Lake tip-up town type
Right.
stuff for this weekend. So you had the tip-up. What time of day was it?
About 2:30 in the afternoon. We had just watched a segment of Michigan Outdoors.
Is that right?
Yep.
So you were all inspired,
All
huh?
set to go.
Well, that's great. Did it battle long?
It took about probably 8 to 10 minutes to get this
No
one
kid. So it actually pulled line out on you? You brought him back and forth?
He went out twice.
Oh, what a thrill. I guess in the winter you can't ask if it jumped or not. No way you could
well,
do
I'll
that.
tell you though, when I got his head through the hole, I didn't know who was more scared, me or the fish.
How big a hole?
It's a 7-inch hole.
Man, you almost had to grease him to pull him through there.
As soon as I got his head out, the line broke.
Wow.
So I tackled him.
That's a great story. You have this mounted, of course.
Right.
Well, good. Well, this is Terry Hogger, Master Angler of the Week, winner of a Trost Fishing Award, a Master Angler Award, an inspiration to all of us here. Do you like to eat the fish you catch, Terry?
We caught 8 other pike that weekend, and we ate.
You
all
like
of
to eat
them,
fish, I tell you.
except this one.
Bob Garner has some good news for us fish-eating people.
Great news for fishermen, those people that eat fish across the state. The Michigan Department of Public Health, which has been issuing a lot of fish-eating warnings across the state, has issued a new study which says virtually all fish around the state of Michigan are indeed safe to eat, something we've suspected for a long time. They've only got 2 rivers on the list of don't eat the fish out of them, and that is the Carp River Deer Lake system in the Upper Peninsula and the Pine River in the Lower Peninsula downstream from the big PBB spills. That is super news here on Michigan Outdoors. The newest moose death is linked to brainworm. Ed Mikula called yesterday to say, in fact, it has been confirmed that the moose, that's a third cow in the last 2 weeks, has died of brainworm. He suspects because of the tough weather up in the Upper Peninsula, we're seeing those deaths a lot closer and a lot quicker than we normally would. By the way, he says there really is no cause for worry at this point. Herb Burns has been named the new chief of the Law Enforcement Division of DNR. Herb is a 20-year veteran. Herb's known as a good cop and a tough fish cop, so he should be a good chief. We wish him the best. Also, a new perch size limit up in the Mackinac County waters of northern Lake Huron. Biologists have been doing some studies up there, and they've determined that fishermen are cropping those perch back at a limit that just doesn't allow them to grow to bigger perch. So therefore, they're going to put a 7-inch size limit on beginning April 1, and a year from now, that limit will go to an 8-inch minimum. This outdoor reminder this week that your turkey permits are due into the DNR by February 1st.
Another outdoor reminder, our Outdoor Digest is out, brand new issue, all kinds of information in here. I think this is the best one yet, Bob. We have articles in here, fish and game cookery, Kathy, on pressure cooking, life and winter of the white-tailed deer with Leonard Lee Rue, cottontail rabbit hunting, ice fishing success. There's some good tips in here. A new fiction story, Christmas tip-up.
That's a great story.
A big buck night special, a lot of information, all our recipes, everything in here, including our mailbag letters, plus our answers.
In fact, we have a letter for you, Fred, from Jim Steffen from Bay City, Michigan, who writes in and says, I was watching your show on Thursday night, August 1st. About 5 minutes into the program, you showed a young man with a nice king salmon being netted. It looked to me as if the fish was foul hooked. I noticed that the fish was put in the cooler instead of being released back into the lake. Were my eyes deceiving me, or did this really happen? I thought foul-hooked fish were supposed to be released.
Jim, you have the letter of the law here is what you are referring to when, frankly, me and I think just about every fisherman goes by the intent of the law in a case like this. Here's the fish being brought aboard, and you can see a little bit that the lure is hooked in the body of the fish. It did go in the cooler. Now, here's what can happen with salmon. You can catch them in the mouth, they fight, they battle, twist in the line, the hook rehooks on the body someplace. Sometimes fish are foul hooked like that when they swipe at the lure, but you see, the snagging law was intended to prevent people from intentionally trying to snag fish. Now, I say accidentally snagged fish. Hey, I'm not going to toss one back like that. I'm not making any challenge to the conservation officers, but I don't know anybody who does in a situation like that.
I don't know anybody that does, but I probably would, just because...
Because you're on TV.
That's right, that's right.
Me too, but we just put it on TV, and that's a technicality of the law that I'd take to court.
I didn't even see it the first time.
I know, but it does happen, and we go with the intent of the law. Anyway, that's a sticky question to answer when you have to answer for yourself while you are fishing. But now let's see if you can answer this question in our outdoor quiz.
The rabbit's speed is legendary. How fast can a cottontail run? The rabbit's speed is more legend than fact. Few can run more than 18 miles per hour, while the black bear, with his reputation as a lumbering giant, has been clocked at more than 30 miles per hour.
Keeping warm on the ice. That's an important subject where styles have changed, according to Bob Spicer of Spicer's Boat City in Houghton Lake. What would you recommend if I wanted to look sharp and feel sharp and be warm?
Okay.
What would you take me to here? Go ahead, take me to.
Okay.
What do you recommend? Shopping for the latest in snowmobile and warmth fashions.
This is an example of this happens to be a new Skidoo style. Several of the snowmobile companies, of course, manufacture or market their own lines of clothing. This happens to be Skidoo, and they have a complete line: jackets, pants, and all.
But I mean, that's just a name.
This just happens to be a name, right? There's several other brands. This type of garment has a nylon shell to break the wind and a good heavy insulation. This happens to be DuPont hollow fill.
Well, what about down? Whatever happened to down?
Down doesn't seem to be popular, at least in snowmobile garments. I'm not sure the reason. You don't see a lot of it. This material, for one thing, is more waterproof. Down, as you know, if it does get wet, it can mat and cause other problems. So this gives you a very thin-looking garment. It looks nice. It's a good action garment, no bulk. And
well, now what about this? What I'm wearing? I'm wearing a older style snowmobile suit. I got this about 6-7 years ago.
That's a good garment. It's a good heavyweight garment. It's warm. Generally, the one-piece suit is just not in fashion anymore, so to speak. Everyone's concerned about the flexibility and good looks. They like a jacket that they can go into a restaurant or bar or their friend's home, take the jacket off, have the pants on, shoot a game of pool, whatever, and you have a little flexibility and
Well,
can move around.
this for ice fishing and things like that, this is warmer.
Not really. A lot of ice
No?
fishermen will still like that type of garment, but generally the companies who make the best and the warmest gear don't do well with one piece. One piece somewhat are still sold in the catalogs and this sort of thing, but a snowmobiler in particular, and a lot of ice fishermen will know that by buying a two-piece suit,
You mean with the bib
they'll get a
pants?
bib pant. Okay, so now you have this is like a suit with the arms chopped off. So you have insulation clear up in your upper body. You put the jacket on over this, which comes down to here. Now you've got double insulation in the most important parts.
It's like wearing a vest. Sometimes I put a down vest on under this. Right now I happen to be wearing my winter coat.
Okay.
My down coat
Sure.
under this just to keep warm.
Well, what you've got is a good warm garment. The two-piece will give you a lot more comfort, flexibility, and freedom of movement, I think. And particularly advantage that you can take that jacket off and walk around inside and be halfway comfortable without perspiring when you go into your favorite pit stop.
Spicer's Boat City, one of many pit stops to tip up town. Now, we might not need all of those warm clothes this weekend, but I'd take them along just in case. Now, let's take a look at upcoming events on our outdoor calendar.
It's a season for sports shows, and leading off this weekend in Lansing is the Central Michigan RV Show, Friday through Monday. This weekend is the first weekend of Tip Up Town USA at Houghton Lake. Lots of fun for the whole family. Fred, Kathy, and I will be out there on the ice this weekend. Look for us in the pumpkin tent when we're not out taping or fishing. Saturday, archers can join a rabbit hunt with the Crooked Arrow Archery Club in Bancroft. Sunday, muzzleloaders hold a shoot open to the public at Warsaw Park in Utica. An ATA-sanctioned trap shoot will be on tap Sunday at Linden. Next Wednesday through Sunday, there's the Pontiac Silverdome Boat Sport and RV Show. Reservations are pouring in for the Stroh's Hunting Awards banquet, February 22nd in Livonia. The invitations to the Hunting Awards winners for 1985 will be mailed out this weekend with their rankings. It's going to be a popular banquet. On April 5th, the Stroh's Fishing Awards winners will have their evening in the spotlight, also at Roma's of Livonia. If you have a favorite fish or wild game recipe, send it in by February 1st to Fred Trost's first annual Fish and Wild Game Cooking Contest. Prizes will be getaway weekends in northern Michigan, plus an appearance for the cook-off on March 6th during our PBS special. Don't forget Fred Trost's Outdoor Fair, June 27th through the 29th at Houghton Lake, guaranteed to be a warm, sunny weekend. If you missed a phone number, call the Travel Bureau toll-free at 1-800-292-2520. And that wraps up our Michigan Outdoors calendar.
You're looking at venison pepper steak, a recipe sent to us by Judy Norris of Millington.
Oh, it's a winner.
I say it every week. This is the best recipe. This is incredible.
You
This is the
just
best.
record that and say it every week.
I don't know when we get to our wild game cooking contest. By the way, our rules for the cooking contest are in the new digest, so you're going to want to write for this and get these rules. The deadline is February 1st. But this recipe, Kathy.
Oh, I think it's great.
What do you think, Bob? You like Chinese food. This is a little Chinese.
Oh, hey, this is superb stuff.
This
is good.
Just
Kathy?
a little bit different, too.
Let's get to the lowdown on how you put this together.
Okay. We're going to trim our steak, and we want to trim fairly thin because you're going to quick fry it.
Now, this was a muscle from the round,
Right.
from the back leg of
Yeah.
Zach's deer.
Yep,
this
it's very
past year.
well taken care of.
All the fat and fell trimmed away.
That's what makes it taste good. You can fry this just a little bit, like I said, in butter. And it fries fairly quickly. You don't want it done completely, just
It isn't exactly a stir
tender.
fry, though.
No, it isn't. No, because you are going to put this in the oven. And that doesn't take long at all. It's just like you said, a Chinese recipe, Fred. We got celery, cut on a diagonal, so it's not just little tiny chunks of celery. Onions, and those are in rings, and they will fall apart and make into rings.
Well, we can see this all cooks down.
That's right. And green pepper. Chinese, there you go. Now that'd be great, just like that. Take it out and put a little bit of soy sauce on it, and that'd be good.
Even better with
But
the mushrooms.
That's right. And the rest of the ingredients just really add to this. I was really surprised. This doesn't take very long, just enough for the little bit of water to come out. Some garlic, quite a bit of garlic in it, but you don't taste it.
Cut up the garlic, smash it, or
right.
cut it up like that and sprinkle
Yep.
it around.
Yeah, you don't
That,
want-
I think it tastes a lot better than garlic salt or garlic powder.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat fresh. You just can't. More flavor in it.
Look at that, the way it is right there.
Yep, like I said,
You
that'd be
could take
great,
it-
just like that.
It would be. And this is one of these recipes where even adding the additional ingredients, even
Makes it even better. Beef broth, you're gonna add a whole can of it, and it really does disappear. It looks real soupy in the beginning, but it doesn't stay there. There's soy sauce, like in your Chinese recipes.
right now this
Quite a
is
bit of it.
salty.
That's
Soy
right.
sauce
so
is salty.
You don't want to add a whole lot of salt. Just a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. You don't find any other spices or seasonings or anything. They're all right in your soy sauce.
Okay, now we let this simmer. You could, I suppose, put it in the oven, but we want to let that simmer.
So for an hour, yep.
We add to it brown gravy sauce
Thickened with cornstarch.
and cornstarch in here.
The brown gravy sauce really gives it that deep, deep brown color and flavor.
Well, Bob, you should be well versed in all the taste aspects of this recipe.
Notice I didn't comment on putting
You
it
didn't
together.
comment.
I was busy eating. It's good, and it's delicate, too. Not overpowering in any way, shape, or form. I think it's one of these recipes, if you wanted to add a little hot stuff to it, you know, something hot peppers or whatever, just throw in as an adjunct to it. It really would be great.
Well, the meat, you can see the small bite-sized pieces. You can cook it in larger steaks, but I think these bite-sized pieces are real good.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
this is
yeah.
cooked. You could take it out when you stir-fried
Stir-fry it, right.
and it would have been good then, but then you want to cook it for maybe a half hour or 45 minutes or so. But, you know, it does lose all of that bright color
It
when
does.
it's cooked.
Yep.
But it's
And
very...
Vegetables.
The
do, yes.
vegetables don't lose a bit of the flavor. It's
Oh,
really
no.
good. Really
No.
good.
A winner. I'm sorry Judy Norris can't enter this in our recipe
Oh, it's
contest
too
because it's
bad.
already in the digest.
too.
Because it's topped. But if you folks have favorite recipes out there, we have a great contest coming up. February 1st is the deadline, so send them to us. And you can also acquire this recipe and all of our January, February recipes. How do they get it, Bob?
Good gosh, what a recipe.
Shanty, and I muffed it. Now, in slow motion, watch him. He comes in, he grabs the decoy. I toss the spear, but instead of putting the spear in the water first, then pushing it, I toss it above the surface, which makes a commotion when it hits and changes the angle of my toss just enough so I miss. We'll take one last look at the tail before it disappears. It was even exciting, even though that big one got away.